All right. Hi, everybody. This is Peter Burley, and I'm going to go over some resume development tips to make your resume a little bit more interesting to potential employers. So we're going to start at the beginning with the intro paragraph. The intro paragraph is generally right under your name, phone number, and email address, and it's usually 2 to 3 sentences. It's kind of a brief overview of you as a professional. So your first sentence is a bit about yourself and your qualifications. Your second and third sentences are generally what you'd like to accomplish and what type of value you believe you can add to the business that you are applying to. So as a bit of an example, let's look at this one. It says, a recently graduated business student focused on contributing to the growth of entrepreneurship in Kern County. My mission is to forward economic and social development in our entrepreneurial ecosystem by leveraging my network, interpersonal skills, and academic experience. This is great. This is short, sweet, to the point, and it demonstrates everything that I said before. This is generally what you're looking for in terms of a intro paragraph. Right after the intro paragraph is the skill section. Generally, you want this near the top, because this is a section that employers are generally more interested in. So for this section, you generally want to focus more on concrete skills rather than vague ones. What I mean by this is instead of things like communication or teamwork, you can put things like, for instance, interpersonal communication in a professional environment, or conflict resolution in teams, things like that. Something that's more precise and gives a better view to the employer of your actual skill set. You also want to focus more on technical skills in a lot of cases. And what I mean by that is skills that are easier to demonstrate, things you could almost be tested in. So things like computer programs, like Microsoft Office Suite, like PowerPoint, Word, Excel, etc., Adobe Creative Suites, accounting programs, anything like that. Generally, employers are very interested in what technological knowledge you have. Another great thing to put is if you know more than one language. If you're bilingual, trilingual, that is absolutely fantastic. And that's definitely something to put on a resume. Employers are generally very interested if you know more than one language. After that comes the education section and the work experience section. And with both of those, you generally want to incorporate deliverable accomplishments with numbers. So what I mean by that is pretty well illustrated in the example here. So this individual was the president of the Entrepreneurship Club and empowered over 200 CSUB entrepreneurial students, networked with 5+ clubs, hosted over 50 club meetings. All of these are direct numbers that directly correlate to their accomplishments. It gives a better understanding of what they accomplished in their prior work experience. And that's definitely something of interest to new potential employers. So this is definitely something that's important. And you can apply this to any position that you have worked in the past, even something like a quick service food job. So for instance, you could, in that case, write interacted with 50+ customers per shift, handled 40 point of sale transactions per day. If you were a supervisor, managed a team of 7 other employees, things like that. You can always find some sort of numbers to apply with prior work experience, and that looks just really good to have on a resume. Another great thing to do is to weave in school and volunteer projects. A lot of students, once they graduate, will have a generally less developed work experience section, and that's totally fine. A great thing to do in that case is to include school projects and volunteer work. So as a couple of examples, this says member of honors program and student representative. Both of these demonstrate capabilities as a worker for a potential employer. In this case, you can also include volunteer work that you've done outside of school. All of these can demonstrate your work ethic and other things that might be important to a potential employer. So this is a great way to demonstrate some of your capabilities and to fill in some of your resume. And coming to the end of our resume creation section, we're going to talk about formatting. So these are essentially the things that make a resume look good. So you want to make sure that the font size and the actual font of the resume are consistent throughout. The headings and like your name can generally be a larger size or in bold, maybe, but you want the rest of it to be consistent all the way throughout. You also want to double check spelling. A lot of people, when they're creating their resume, they kind of create it as a first draft and they don't give it a second look before sending it. But you definitely want to make sure that everything's spelled correctly, that your grammar is right. Just put your best foot forward when applying for a new position. Also, you can format it to just make it look nicer, to make it easier to read. Let me show you an example on the next slide. This is a good looking resume. Everything is well set out. It's easy to read. The skills are set into 3 columns, which is fine. There's no spaces that are entirely bereft of text. There's no spaces that are, just packed full of walls of text. Everything looks relatively balanced across the page. It's just well set up. It's easy to read. This is the kind of resume you want to create. And generally, it's a good idea to keep a resume to 1 page. If you have an extensive work history, you can add on another one, but you generally want your resume to be as succinct as possible. So now that we've talked a little bit about the actual creation of a resume, let's briefly talk about ways to search for jobs. There's a lot of great websites out there, more than I have enough time to go over in this short video. A few of them are Handshake, ResearchGate, LinkedIn, and many, many more that you can see on the screen now. And you can go through these at your leisure and go to some of these websites and potentially even apply for some of the jobs posted there. There are quite a few, second page and also a third page of these. So yeah, feel free to go to any of these websites and look around. And now coming to the end of this video, let's talk very briefly about the rule of 10. This is essentially using the law of large numbers to your advantage. So essentially what this means is the more you apply for anything, the higher the chances are of succeeding. So in this case, it's the more job positions you apply for, the higher your chances are of getting called back for one of those positions. It happens a lot that when somebody is applying for a new job, they'll turn in 3 or 4 applications and they won't hear anything back for a while and they'll get a bit discouraged and sometimes they'll stop applying as much. But this isn't what you want to do. You want to apply for more positions. The more positions you apply for, the higher your odds are that one of those positions will hire you. So we call it the rule of 10 because generally we say that you should apply for at least 10 different positions. Those give you fairly good odds of actually getting one of them, but it's never a bad idea to put out a few more applications if it's in fields that you are interested in and that you're qualified for. So definitely put out more applications and you'll probably see better results. That comes about to the end of this little presentation. This was a very, very brief overview of how to make a resume look good and how to apply for some of these jobs after you make a resume. It was very brief, but hopefully you found it informative. Thank you for your time. Again, this has been Peter Burley, and have a great rest of your day.